Hi there and welcome to 101 News, a podcast within a podcast brought to you by Marketing 101, Big Steps for Small Businesses. In this micro podcast, we cut through the noise to bring you the biggest news and freshest insights from the world of marketing in under 5 minutes. And this week, it's all about podcasting. I'm Alex and today we've got 3 key updates every podcaster and marketer should know. But before this, and I've always wanted to say it, today's episode is recorded in front of a live audience. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, today we're coming to you live from the Brighton and Hove Business Show. Thank you to them. And Mike over there, thank you for having me and to this wonderful audience for putting up with this slightly wild beginning to the seminar. So plug in, press record, and let's get into it. Our first headline today, YouTube rolls out official podcast tab on mobile. If you're still uploading your podcast to YouTube as an afterthought, it's time to sit up. YouTube has now expanded its official podcast tab to mobile devices globally. After quietly rolling it out over the desktop over the last year, this means podcast content is now getting its own section in the YouTube app with search prioritization, recommendations, and podcast playlists designed to boost discoverability. Why does this matter? YouTube is already the most used platform for podcast listening, even ahead of Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you're not repurposing your episodes visually or using tools like video snippets, audiograms, or even static visuals with captions, you're missing a huge opportunity for reach. Spotify launches interactive podcast ads in the UK and Australia. Spotify's ad studio is really leveling up. After successful trials in the US, Spotify has launched clickable podcast ads in the UK and Australia, allowing brands to add direct response CTAs, things like shop now or learn more, all while the podcast is still playing. It's based on logged in user data and the ads remain visible in the app during playback. This is huge for ROI-focused podcast campaigns. Until now, podcast ads were passive, things like use code 101 at checkout. But now they're becoming measurable, trackable, and interactive. And finally, Apple introduces subscription analytics for creators. Apple Podcasts has quietly released analytics tools for paid podcast subscriptions. You can now track free trial conversion rates, listener retention, and which episodes are driving the most paid subs. If you're offering bonus episodes, ad-free listening, or early access behind a paywall, you finally get the data to understand what's working. And if you're not monetizing yet, it's a sign of the times. Paid podcasting is no longer niche. It's becoming a mainstream model, especially for creators with loyal niche audiences. So that's your 101 News roundup for today. YouTube's mobile push for podcasts, interactive ads coming to Spotify, and Apple giving us the tools to track podcast subscribers. If you found this useful, hit follow, share with a fellow creator, or drop us a DM on Instagram. You'll find our link tree in the episode description. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want help launching or leveling up your podcast, you know where to find us. Until next time, stay curious, stay consistent, and keep hitting record. Thank you very much for putting up with me there. That was absolutely fantastic. So, I guess we can do a bit of presentation now. I'm going to move the microphone slightly in front of me just to say hi. That was fun. I like that. So, hi, I'm Alex Ryan. I'm the owner of Marketing 101, and I work with a couple of organisations else as well. This is my beautiful team. You might have met Ian and Joe downstairs that form my senior leadership team. We've got Anjali over in Mauritius as well. We are a broad brush marketing agency. We work from brand all the way through to tactical delivery. So, understanding the emotion behind your brand, how you connect with your audience, and how you're going to speak about that through to strategy. Where are you going to find that audience? What groundbreaking things, do you want me to take that? What groundbreaking things you can do to grab attention and get that focus through to the creative websites, blogs, social media, a podcast. We can make all that for you. And then tactical delivery, the day-to-day outlay of your marketing. But that's enough about us. Throughout this presentation, you're going to see these hashtags and websites on all of the slides. If you do want to take a little snap and post about it, please use them. Because I want to get this episode live before you leave the room, we're going to jump ahead to editing and publishing, and then we're going to go into the juice of actually what goes into creating a podcast. So just bear with me on that front. And brace yourselves. I do go fast. I am recording at the back, so you will find the recording on LinkedIn after this event. So you can go and refollow there, or you might want to take some notes. It's going to be lots of juicy stuff. So a couple of years ago, I launched a course called Zero to Podcaster in 30 Days. I'd learned how to podcast a couple of years earlier, and just wanted to kind of lay all that information out in a really fun way for people to get into. And of course, passive income, everyone wants one of those. So today's content is going to be a bit of a wrap up of the content from there. We're going to get through as much as possible, but as long as you scan my QR code, I'm going to send you the 30-day planner and the 30-day workbook at the end of this as well. Today's agenda: record, tick, then edit and publish a podcast. And we're going to learn some key lessons from Zero to Podcaster. Your podcast identity, what are you actually going to build? How to structure a podcast episode, and confidence to read, or I can't believe I got through that and made one stumble at the end, by the way. But the confidence to read and to interview people, studio and equipment, it's not as complicated as you might think, and how to launch your podcast smarter. The overall goal: everything you need to launch your podcast. But first, I need you to do two things, because I want you to be able to see this podcast that we just recorded as you walk out of the door. You're going to find it on Spotify, Apple, those kind of things. If you didn't get this QR code, don't worry, it's going to be on another slide in a second for a bit longer. So subscribe to the podcast and you should be able to see this episode live as you walk out the door. And then also for the freebies, again, this QR code is going to be around in a second, so don't worry if you don't grab it now. If you want the workbook and the nice poster for the Zero to Podcaster, please join our mailing list. These links will take you through it. So there's those two QR codes again. We're going to be on this slide for a minute. So I wanted to talk about why podcasting is bloody amazing. There's loads and loads of reasons to do podcasting, but really significantly, it's a really uncluttered space. When you look at social media, blogs, even networking events, I've got competitors in the room, content creation, blog writing and all that kind of stuff, and email marketing, very, very cluttered. Your competitors are all doing it. You see them doing it. But with podcasting, there is still, even though we're 20, 25 years into podcasting, how many of your competitors are actually podcasting? So there's a huge opportunity to build that wall between you and them. Then podcasts are the most amazing content hub. Let's say you do an interview podcast, 40 minutes with someone inspirational from your industry or one of your suppliers, work colleagues. You've got obviously the audio, which can go out onto Apple and Amazon podcasts and all those kind of things. You can cut out little sound bites and clips for your social media. Then using AI, we can take the transcript from the podcast. We can put that transcription into ChatGPT. We can get ourselves blog content. You can get yourself PR content if there's really valuable insights. You can get all your social media posts written for you, different reasons to go and listen to that podcast. And then if you are videoing, which I thoroughly recommend, we didn't today, too complex. If you are videoing, you can take that full length video, chuck it on YouTube, great for discoverability. You can use AI to cut it into clips, and then that's your TikTok and your Instagram Reels all sorted as well. So an incredible wealth of content from one 40-minute recording. Introductions is something that no one thinks about when they talk about podcasting. It's amazing for getting in the room with people that you might not otherwise be able to. If you've got that potential supplier or a potential client who they've been, I don't know, longing you off when you've been trying to get them for a coffee, or you just haven't even asked because you think they'd say no, you'd be amazed at the reaction when you invite them onto your podcast. They feel valued, they feel like a VIP, and then you get to hang out with them for an hour, vibe, chat back and forth, exchange details. It's an amazing, amazing thing for developing your network and maybe even winning some clients. Monetization, I'm not going to touch too much on. It's really hard to make money. We've probably all listened to podcasts where God, talking all day downstairs was a really bad idea to then come off and do a seminar at the end of the day. It's a very sore throat. So we probably listened to all those podcasts sponsored by Squarespace or some mattress company or HelloFresh. You've got to be in the top 0.1% of podcasts to get that kind of money. But most of the podcasts I work with, the businesses, do have sponsorship from a supplier or a client that they really vibe with. They're going to share the exposure. They might make 250 quid up to 500 quid an episode, depending on how many downloads you've got. Even a brand new podcast can get sponsorship for 250 quid, which at the very least is going to cover any costs and then a little bit more of running your own podcast. So it's an amazing industry. It's really, really fun. A great option for your marketing. Okay, we're going to go into audio editing here. Come and talk to me about video. There's amazing AI tools to help you edit your podcasts, like auto jump between cameras, tidy up the audio, cut out all the ums and ahs. come and talk to me about it, but not for today because we are short on time. That's when I did a podcast, Marketing for Kids, with my niece, Elise. So we're going to open up Audacity. I'm going to show you that next. We're going to learn how to remove background noise, chuck a few effects on, and then add some music to the podcast. It's going to be really, really quick, so I don't want to bore you. The important thing with this is that it is possible for anybody. This is not, you don't need to be a sound engineer. You don't need all the experience in the world to achieve this. Once you've learnt it once and saved your settings, it's just cut and paste, you just duplicate. So this file down here that I've just highlighted at the bottom, that's the audio we've just recorded. Oh, thank you very much. I forgot I had one now. You're so kind. Thank you. Oh. A friend in need. So that's the audio I've just recorded down the bottom here. I took the opportunity to pre-drop some music in that I knew I was going to need, just to save you the hassle of that. So what we've got here, this area here, that's our intro music. I've then got some newsy kind of stabs, and then we've got some outro music. So let's go in. I'll show you how easy it is. The first thing we're going to do is tidy up my vocals. We want to make them just sound a little bit more radio and clear up some background noise from the room. So the first thing I'm going to do, we select the whole track. We go into effects and we're going to do EQ. So EQ is going to make me sound bassier, more radio voice. Great when you're in the headphones. As I said, you can ask me for my settings, but what you do is you set them once on Audacity and they will stick forever. So you don't need to keep redoing this every time. So you can see here on the left, this is boosting the bass of my voice. And if you watch the audio in the background, you'll see it slightly change shape when I hit OK. Okay, just a little bit of boost of bass. It's going to make me sound a bit more radio. Then we're going to compress it. Again, the settings, learn them from YouTube or grab mine, and then you just hit go every single time from then onwards. Really, really quick once you've done it once. Compression takes the bits where I talked a bit too loudly and the bits where I talked a bit too quietly and just evens the whole thing out. So again, watch the audio in the background. We're going to hit OK. Shift it a little bit. And then finally, what we're going to do is we're going to find a little bit of silence where I didn't talk too much. Let's go zoom right in here. This is what sound looks like, by the way, if you've never seen what sound looks like before. So you can see here this little bit of noise, tiny little specks, but that is background noise. So very cleverly, what we can do is we can highlight the background noise. We're almost through the techie bit, I promise. I told you to bear with me. We'll get to the juice. You can go into noise reduction. And first you're going to get the noise profile. So this is going to understand what your background noise sounds like. And then when you select the entire audio, go back into noise reduction. I know you can't see this. It's all on the video. I'll share the slides and hit OK. It's going to cut out that background noise, not just from when I'm not talking, but from when I am talking. It takes the background noise out from the entire thing. Okay, that's now looking beautiful. My audio will sound great. I'll prove it to you shortly. Next up, we're going to line ourselves up with the intro music. So the intro music is above. I want to start speaking just after it's finished. I'm afraid we are on laptop audio. Hi there and welcome to 101 News, a podcast. It's a beautiful thing. Lovely when it comes together. Okay, we're going to chuck in some stabs quickly. Stabs are short bits of music. I'm just moving them around so it's easy to move. So we can see here that this was where I finished speaking the first segment. Into it. Into it. So we're going to line up the audio straight afterwards. And we're just going to tidy this little space so that it sounds really flush. Highlight it like a Google Doc. Hit delete and that space I've highlighted is gone. Let's have a listen. And let's get into it. Our first headline today, YouTube rolls out official... Right, we're going to do that a few more times. It's a wonderful thing. Just sounds so great, doesn't it? Okay, so same again. This is where I stop talking. It's lucky I practiced this, isn't it? T for reach. Lovely. Into the stab. Delete the space. Listen. Infinity for reach. Spotify launch. Lovely. Do it for ITV, couldn't I? Right. I think this one's a little bit way out. Looks like it's going to be over here. For creators. Apple Podcasts. No. Oh, yeah, no, that was it. I didn't leave much of a gap. Creators. Apple Podcasts is quietly... Okay. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing here because it's... Okay, and listen. Analytics for creators. Apple Podcasts is quietly... Okay, fantastic. That's the last bit. And then we're going to just chuck in... Oh, no, there's a tiny bit more. That looks like it's in the right place. Bear with. Okay. Description. I'm going to delete that one because I can't be bothered. Okay, right. I can sense you're ready for the juice, the good stuff. Okay, finally, we're going to chuck in our outro music. I've already put a little fade on the music, so it's going to sound like this. And relax. Oh no, that was me saying and relax. Okay, we don't want that bit. Cut it out, same as before. So we like that. That's the applause. We're going to just do this, delete that bit, drag the music in, and we have got a podcast ready. Record. Huge round of applause. Amazing. A beautiful fade. Okay, thank you for bearing with me on that one. I wanted to show you that it's really, really easy. I know that looks complex, but basically we did 3 functions there. A little bit of making the voice sound better, put the music in the right place, and now we're just going to export it to MP3, and we'll call it Brighton Hove 1. And that is as simple as that. Okay, back to the presentation for a minute. So, I think this is actually it. We're straight into publishing. There we go. So, publishing. This is one of the biggest things that people ask me about. How on earth do you get your podcast onto Amazon, Apple Music, Spotify, those kind of things? It's actually incredibly easy. What we do is we use a syndication platform that you set it up once and link it, just using your Apple IDs, those kind of things. And then you upload your episode to that platform and it does the work for you. It throws it everywhere else. In order to publish an episode, you need 2 things. That's good. What? Oh, right. Okay. You need 2 things. You need a cover image. So every episode needs its own image, and you need an episode description. With your episode description, always bear in mind SEO. So podcast platforms are search engines, same as anything else. So when you're writing the description of your episode, think about what terms people might search for and in order to get your podcast found. So if we come over to this, I'm going to show you the syndication platform because it's dead cool. This is Buzzsprout. So Buzzsprout is where you can attach to all these different directories. So it's very easy to link them all together. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we've got Amazon Music, Podcast Index here. That is the one that links to Alexa and all the micro apps as well. So all we're going to do to show you how easy it is, we're going to upload a new episode. We're going to find our audio. There's what we recorded today. 4.5 minutes long. We're going to upload it. Then you need an episode title and an episode description. I've done this already. Thank you, ChatGPT. I popped my script into ChatGPT and it gave me everything I need. 3 big podcasting updates you need to know, recorded live. And then we've got a nice description. Don't forget to include links and those kind of things in the bottom. We paste those in. Slightly funny formatting. We'll just tidy that up. Everything's there that we need. Then we're going to find our image. I took the liberty of creating this image earlier on. So this is going to be our podcast image, little Canva job. And then this is season 3 of this podcast, episode 2. We're going to publish immediately, and then we cross our fingers. So in the space of, let's say, 20 minutes, we have recorded, edited, and published a podcast. Now, it takes a little while to get out to Spotify. It takes quite a long while to get out to Apple. But hopefully, as you leave, you will be able to see this podcast live on at least Spotify, if not others. And we'll check it at the end to see if it's worked. Okay, so now we're into the juice about actual podcasting. It's a really, really fascinating world. Straight into podcast identity. So there's loads of different types of podcasts you can do. It's really important to think of this straight away. Get this in early on, discovering your identity. So the topic and delivery style. Most people in the room, most people we work with, they lean towards business podcasts, of course. So we're in a business networking event. So they're going to go industry specific. Marketing 101, we often go educational. We also do some interview ones. But we've interviewed Brandad over there at the back of the room, gives a wave, did a whole session on branding. So it's interview and education at the same time. But try and think outside the box. At Marketing 101, we've got a client who they are sex worker friendly accountants. Okay, so they do accountancy for legal sex workers. Really, really niche, amazing creating their content. And we all the time lean towards the history of sex work. It's such great content. It's so engaging for people. So if they ever start a podcast, and I'm hoping they will, we'll be getting to do a history of sex work podcast. You can still drive people back to your business through the mentions and through the links, but make it interesting and engaging. You're much more likely to get a decent audience. Still discovering your identity. There's 3 ways to create your podcast content. You can script it, which you just saw me do. When I write a script, I ignore punctuation and grammar. I write how I'm going to speak. It's the only way that you can then read it out and feel natural. So don't use ChatGPT, don't use punctuation, just write how you speak, and preferably write it and then record it straight away whilst it's fresh in your mind. Structured, so that's where you create some kind of structure for your podcast. It's really good if you want to talk on a subject, but you want to freestyle it a little bit yourself, but stay on track. It's amazing for interviews to help you and your guest understand where you're going. Freestyle is brave. I'm going to go into structure just a little bit more later on. Freestyle is very brave. If you can really just wax lyrical without wanging on about your topic, you can just sit in front of the microphone and talk. If you really vibe and you know this person really well, which is what pretty much I did with Brandad, you can just talk and have an amazing conversation. But most podcasts you'll find are structured. We'll come back to that. Naming your podcast. This seems so easy, but it's not. There's lots of things to think about. We've got an entire blog about this on the Marketing 101 blog. Obviously, you want to keep it simple and memorable. You wouldn't be able to have someone say, oh, have you heard the ... podcast, right? So simple and memorable, obvious. Descriptive. Again, we know the description of your podcast is good for SEO, but the title of your podcast is even stronger for SEO. Our podcast is called Marketing 101, Big Steps for Small Businesses. We've got small business in there, and we've got Marketing 101, which means we get loads of traffic from the USA because they use that phrase 101 all the time for the basics. So when they're looking for marketing basics, they type it in. Unique. So obviously, are any other podcasts, or have they already got your name? A lot of podcasts go down the pun kind of trope name route. So you might think you've come up with something really clever. It might be there already. So just double check that. And then availability outside podcasting. If your podcast goes really well, you might want to make specific social media channels for it. You might want to make a website for it. You might even want to turn it into a micro business at some point. So check all the social media handles are available. Check the website is available. Buy that domain, and maybe check Company's House as well. These 3 bullet points here are quite funny. So different uses, translations, and initials. It doesn't crop up very often, but it's always worth thinking about. So different uses. For example, does everyone remember Susan Boyle's album launch? No? Maybe? Okay, so when they did this, they did a campaign, a social media campaign called Susan Albums, for the album launch. She was doing a listen along party on radio. And the hashtag they created was Susan Album Party. But when they put it together as a hashtag, it said Sue's Anal Bum Party. And got some pretty raw recognition. Yeah, it's a historic moment in marketing. And there's also one, Volkswagen decided to have Instagram accounts for each of the countries that they're kind of significant in. So what, Volkswagen France, Volkswagen Germany, Volkswagen Italy. But they wanted to use the local dialect for that. So Volkswagen Italy, their Instagram account is Volkswagen Italia, which when you read it as a hashtag or an Instagram account, it says Volkswagen Italia. So be wary of putting things together that actually say something else. Translations, the famous one, was it the Vauxhall Nova? Wasn't selling very well in Latin America, which was a really big market for them. They couldn't figure it out. And then until they realized that Nova in Spanish means doesn't go. So it's a terrible name for a car brand. So be wary of that. And then initials, the last one, I have a podcast called The Stupid Boys Club. We call it SBC. That's absolutely fine. I can't think of a podcast, but there was an event in Brighton a while back called the Big Brighton Weekender. And they kept initializing it to the BBW everywhere, which in the world of online dating means something very, very different. We don't need to talk about that now. Google it later if you haven't heard of it. But it's a little bit naughty. So just think about these things, try it out. And the most important thing I could say is test it out. Ask your friends, ask your family, what do you think of this? I get it all the time where I think I've got this mind-blowingly amazing idea. And my partner just like puts a nail in it, like, no, it's stupid. Oh yeah, that's Volkswagen Italia, by the way, and Sue's Anal Bum Party. I really love them. I've used them in so many presentations. Okay, so next part of podcast identity is staying consistent. These are questions I get a lot. How often should I be posting? As much as you want. You can do daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthly, quarterly. It doesn't really matter. Stay consistent. If you're going to go weekly, go weekly. But the most important thing I would say is think about the amount of time involved with creating your podcast. Obviously, your first one's going to take a bit longer to learn the ropes. But if you're doing, let's say, a 40-minute interview with a guest, you've probably got an hour admin beforehand to find them, book them, agree the structure. You've got an hour to record. You've got an hour to edit. You've got another hour to use AI to make all your social media content. That's 4 hours. That's fine if it's a monthly podcast. If it's weekly, you don't want to be committing that. It's a lot of time. If you're doing a 5-minute news podcast, you could probably do it daily. So just think about how much time you can commit to your podcast. People always say, what's the best day of the week to publish a podcast? It doesn't matter because there's so much advice out there that everyone just follows it and everyone's still posting on every day of the week. So just post whenever you want, but always the same. If you're going to do Tuesday evenings, do Tuesday evenings. Length is really interesting. Podcasts aren't like a TV show where people sit down, watch an episode, finish the episode, go and cook their dinner, and go watch the next episode. People just clock in and out when they're commuting, driving, cooking, whatever. So the length doesn't matter too much, but bear in mind what you're trying to achieve. So if you're doing a news podcast, you want to make it quite punchy, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If it's an educational podcast, people might be sitting down, consuming the whole episode because they want to learn something, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. If it's a chit chat with a guest, 40 minutes. If it's really entertaining and funny, like the Stupid Boys Club, not suitable for work, but my two best mates podcast, it can go on as long as you like. We do an hour and 15 because people just pause and come back to it. And then tone, again, just staying with consistent. Remember your brand, who you're trying to connect with. When you're making your script, designing your artwork, keep that tone of voice. You want to emotionally connect with people. I remember the days when I used to get up with Chris Moyles in The Breakfast Show, right? It was like getting up with your mates. And that's what you want people to feel like with your podcast. That kind of, know, like, trust, that affinity with them. So just bear all of that in mind and stay consistent. Oh, there's the Stupid Boys Club. That's my two best mates on the left, and Lucy Spraggan, pop star X Factor, who came to record in my lounge during COVID. Should be wearing masks. Okay, we're moving on to structure and confidence. So a really cool thing to throw into a podcast is a segment or a feature. 40 minutes of you talking to a guest is great, but it could be a bit dry. It could be fine, but it could be made more exciting by chucking in a segment or a feature. So these are going to be a little thing that you throw into every episode. It helps the listeners kind of hold on to something, it breaks it up, but they're going to look forward to it each time. So for example, you could ask listeners to submit questions, and halfway through every interview, you're going to stop and go, right, we're going to take some listener questions, you answer them. Short, sharp, then back to the interview. This is one I really love. We work with a construction health and wellbeing podcast, and in every interview they ask their guest, what's under your hard hat? So they've already been talking about their specialism, some subjects, dust or noise or whatever, but what do they do to keep themselves healthy from a mental health, fitness perspective? What's under the hard hat? Put some different music underneath, make it feel a bit different. It's a really, really cool thing. So think about a segment or a feature, a game you can play. That little news section could go into a podcast. Okay, I said I'd come back to structured. I just want to show you very quickly what a structure looks like. This is how I build almost all my podcasts. A few bullet points, very high, kind of top level. Scripted introduction, informal. Hello, how's it going? Oh, I like your Zoom background, whatever. A bit about the guest. Then topic 1, we wanted to talk about this. Then you go into your feature. And then topic 2, and an outro. Simple as that. That can work for a lot of podcasts. If you want, and when you've got a guest, especially if they're a bit nervous about podcasting, you can go a little step further. You can just flesh out each of those bullet points. So I'll show you one, for example. So about the guest, I would then give them an extra few bullet points saying, we're going to talk about your education and your work history. I want your founder story. Where did you come from? How did you end up in this job? What drives you? What makes you happy? A couple of interview tips. You've got to listen. You've got to play the job of the audience that are listening to your podcast. So it's all too easy to think about your next question and how are you going to get it in naturally, because we don't read through the structure. It's got to feel natural. You have to listen and then dig deeper and ask questions. Tangents, the best things come out of tangents. I was interviewing a lady who, as she was giving her life story, her founder story, she just dropped in that she'd spent her childhood in a nunnery and then moved on. And I was like, no, we're coming back to that. I need more. Because I knew the listener would want to know more. And it was a fascinating little tangent that helped round her as a person, as a human. So listen, hand signals, we call this the BBC code. So even though you're on video, the other person's talking, you can use a hand signal. If they're talking, especially if they're going a bit at length, for any reason, you just want to jump in and have your say. No, not like that, Vicky, not like that. Put your hand up, and that says, I'd like to interrupt at some point soon. You wave it. I really want to interrupt. Like, just take a breath, and I've got a little nugget I want to chuck in. A hand signal and like that. No one else will see it because the camera's on them. And then finally, the best thing I can suggest you do if you're interviewing a guest, you've decided your topics, your structure and everything, but then ask them what's pertinent to them, what's in their brain at the moment, what are they thinking about, what's prevalent in their business. That's where you get the real juice. You can do the topics, but what's going on now? They're going to be more passionate about that topic. So always ask that when you're doing your structure. Okay, studio and equipment. I'm getting gruffer by the minute. So this isn't as complex as you think. You've got 3 options. You can hire a pro studio. There's a dozen or so in town, probably more. Pros and cons, they cost money. You're going to have to travel to them. Your guest might have to travel to them. You might have to pay for your guests to travel. The quality is going to be way up there, fantastic, and they can probably film it for you. So pros and cons, money, main con. You can have a home studio. Pros and cons, sound control, dogs barking, a fan on your computer, those kind of things. You have to buy your own equipment, but you only have to buy it once, and it's not very expensive. Decent podcast microphone, 100 quid. Travel, your guest is still going to have to come to your house. And can you film it in your own house? Can you figure that out? Maybe you can. Got a lovely room to sit in. So pros and cons all the way. But most people are filming online. Don't film on Zoom. Film on an online studio and record on a studio. We use one called Squadcast. It's brilliant. It's exactly the same as Zoom. 2, 3 videos. You can interview as many people as you like. But on Zoom, it only records one audio file. So if they cough whilst you're talking, you can't cut that cough out. On the proper studios, they record one audio file per video. So if they cough, you can cut it out and you can carry on speaking. Really, really good. They're cheap, $20 a month for a studio. No travel involved. They are automatically filmed. You can use that AI to jump between the scenes. The cons, Wi-Fi issues. I've had that in some episodes. That's very annoying. You have to kind of restart and go back to the question before. And again, sound issues, dogs barking, that kind of thing. Microphones are not that important. I just recorded our podcast at the beginning on my laptop microphone. So inbuilt PC is absolutely fine because nowadays the technology is there to make any sound file sound brilliant. Earbuds, use your mobile phone, your Apple iPods, they've got a microphone on it. That's going to be even better. You can get a microphone. I'd recommend the Blue Yeti, about $100, 100 quid. But there's loads and loads of options. USB straight into Audacity, the program which we just recorded into. Really, really easy. That's all you need for a home studio, except for headphones are a must. If you're recording Zoom style video call, your guest's audio is going to come out of your speakers and it's going to go into your microphone. It's not a good noise, really hard to edit. If you've got headphones in, you can hear them, the computer can't, the microphone can't. So you must wear headphones. Quick sound tips, soundproofing. If you're in a room at home with loads of rugs and sofas or a bed or whatever, you're probably going to be fine. If you're recording in an office, it's going to be a bit echoey, lots of hard surfaces. So what I recommend, I've done this many, many times, both for radio shows and otherwise, is basically I call it hide under a blanket. So get yourself a clothes era or a clothes horse, dangle a quilt or a duvet over it and put it behind you. You're normally sitting down when you podcast. That's because your voice goes into the microphone, bounces off the walls, comes around, and then comes back into the microphone from behind you. So all you need is a quilt on an era, on a clothes horse behind you, and that's going to stop that. Get a do not disturb sign on your door. You don't want kids running in whilst you're recording. It's very annoying. Mic placement. This is interesting. Never put your microphone in front of you. First of all, it looks terrible on video, right? Secondly, we make 2 annoying noises as humans, annoying to microphones. One is called a plosive. Plosive. It's when your P's, B's, you blow out a load of air. So you're going to move the microphone off to the side so that when you make a plosive or a blow up, the air goes that way, the noise is still going to get picked up. The second annoying noise we make is called a sibilance. It's a bit like a lisp. I have a sibilance which comes out the side of my mouth. Not everybody does it. So when I use head mics to present or when I'm podcasting, I have it here so that my sibilance goes out there, my plosives goes out there, but the microphone still picks it up. So test, record yourself, listen to how you talk, but never in front of you, off to the side for many, many reasons. Don't tap, don't rustle, warn your guests. I had guests like clicking a pen through a podcast recording. I was like, you know your microphones, right? Just warn them at the top. And the main thing to do with your studio equipment is test. You must test. So you don't need to publish everything you record. Get your microphone set up, record, see how you sound, do the audio editing, listen to it from your computer, listen to it in your headphones, turn it up loud, shut the door, listen from next door. See how it sounds. How's the audio quality? And finally, we're on to launch smarter. There's Brandad. Look at him there. That was a beautiful episode. First episode. So talking of testing, all podcasts should have a trailer. Okay, it's 5 minutes where you use your music. I knew that was going to happen. There's construction going on somewhere, I'm sure of it. You're going to use your music. You're going to tell people what this podcast is about. Get it perfect. Use that as your test. When you're happy with your trailer, send it live. The trailer is going to take a few weeks to propagate that first time. It takes ages to get onto Apple. After that, it's about a day or two. So use that trailer, and that's how you're going to invite guests on. Here's the trailer. Do you want to be a guest? It's how you promote it. Friends and family, get them on board. There's an issue with Apple. I'll race through it. It takes less time. It takes much more time to propagate. So this episode would probably have been live on Spotify in 10 minutes. Apple, it's 40 minutes. For anyone unsubscribed, it's 2 days. Why is that important? Because if you publish your episode and then go straight to social media and talk about it, anyone that's not subscribed to your podcast is going to go and look, and they're going, well, I can't see the episode. It's not there. They were talking about that. I've ignored the rest of it. But that episode sounds great. You're done. So make sure you have Apple Podcasts. Don't subscribe to your own podcast. Publish your podcast and then wait. It might be a day. It might be 2 days. But wait until your episode is live before you start promoting it. Otherwise, you're going to waste loads and loads of marketing juice. Launch with multiple episodes. If you launch with 1 episode and you get 1 listener, you've got 1 listen. If you launch with 3 episodes and you get 1 listener, they might just listen 3 times. So you get triple the amount of listeners. And why is that important? Because the best way to launch a podcast is to try and get onto the charts, the podcast charts. But the charts are based on the overall listens for your podcast, not of an individual episode. So gather your friends and family, launch your trailer, get a WhatsApp group, get everyone behind you, everyone that's going to support you, launch 3 episodes, get hopefully triple the amount of listens as long as they're enjoying it. Okay, we're getting close to the end now. Thank you very much for your time and patience. So marketing, the biggest thing you can do with marketing to increase your reach is get good guests on. So you're going to brief them beforehand. You can only be on my podcast if you promise to share it to your social media, to your business network, to your email marketing. Put it on your blog. We'll give you a code to embed it. Even better, you could choose guests with really good reach on social media. I'm going to get Lindsay Clay or Mike Monk on my podcast, right? Because we know that their posts go wild on social media. So think tactically with guests. Blogs, newsletters, and social media posts. Obviously, we've talked about it. Use the content to create all of this stuff, visuals and videos. It's kind of obvious. Free sponsor is a really interesting one. If you can't get a paid sponsor to start off with, maybe you can. You could get a second one, or you could, as a free sponsor, they can't afford to pay you, but they promise that they are going to use their network for your benefit. You're going to plug them on the podcast. They are going to share it to their business audience, their clients on their emailing list, that kind of stuff. You've got a really close working relationship. Give them free sponsorship just of season 1. Don't throw yourself down the river. First 6 episodes are free, then we'll talk again. Multiple reasons to listen. This is so important. Don't record a podcast episode and then go, I've recorded a new podcast episode. Give it a listen. This is what it's about. Do that once, but then half a dozen more posts. Use AI. Say, give me 6 different reasons to listen to this podcast. Give it the transcript. 6 different reasons. It could be that topic, the news article. It will draw out different salient reasons to listen to the podcast. Turn them into social posts so that you're not just saying, here's a podcast. You're saying, learn about this. By the way, it's a podcast episode. And that's across blogs, newsletters, and social posts. It's never just, hi, I've got a podcast. Ooh, what happened there? Podcast partnerships, liaise with other podcasts. You guest on them, they guest on you. You both get promotion. Or record an episode together and both publish it. It's a great way to grow your podcast. I said it before, but use the transcript for PR, especially if you're interviewing really good people. They've got amazing insight. They've come with data. Use AI, draw all the insights out of it, and create some PR. Get some local news around this amazing, insightful stuff that you've discovered. And finally, live events. I do this quite a lot. I've done live episodes at the NEC. You could do, we're recording on the stand as well. We're recording mini podcast episodes. They're great for social media, for growing your podcast. Final, I think, top tips and reminders. So choose your guests wisely. Make sure that they can talk, that they're interesting, they're fun and engaging. Podcasts are entertainment at the end of the day. Very few people are listening at work. So you've got to make them like you. Make sure they've got a nice big social media reach. Don't over prep and go with the flow. Tangents are where the best stuff comes from on podcasts. So don't over prep. unless you're going scripted. Make it fun. I just said it. They've got to be entertaining. Don't overwhelm yourself. So just be realistic. Start monthly or every 2 months. And then you can increase down the line for series 2. And definitely make a series. It's an amazing thing to finish your series and then sit back, take a break, give yourself a breather, review what worked, what didn't. Do we need to rebrand? Is it going amazingly? We're going to throw some cash into it. So make sure you just line that out. This is our series 1. Okay, that was a lot. Are there any questions before we check if the podcast live? Yes, in the back. How I like.
I want to ask you a question about music and
Yeah.
about remaining legal.
Yeah. So you want to go to a website that sells royalty-free music. We use Audio Jungle. There's lots out there. Just type royalty-free music into Google. You can find amazing music. That's brilliant music that we use. It's probably like $10. Sometimes I've seen $20 for a lifetime. Like that's it. One-off payment. And yeah, you can then cut it up in Audacity. You might need to use someone like that if you want, because you might get a 3-minute track. If you want your 15-second intro cut, just come to us. A bit dirt cheap. That was a bit loud. But yeah, Audio Jungle, never use anyone else's music. I would say even if they're a mate, like get a contract, get a legal agreement, even if they're a mate. Because if your podcast blows up and you're making millions, they will come after you. Any other questions? Bill? I don't know. I mean, yeah, potentially. I mean, I've been in sound engineering. I went to 3 different sound engineering colleges. So I've always loved sound and live sound, and then moved into DJing for a decade. But actually, I fell in love with podcasts. It was simple as that. I think it was, 2014. I discovered a podcast called My Brother, and Me. 3 brothers who had grown up, moved apart, and live all different parts of America. So they started podcasting to stay in touch. They're now like comedic, legendary heroes, celebrities getting booked into movies and stuff. The funniest 3 guys ever. I just fell in love with the conversation, and again, the Chris Morris example. You're hanging out with your best friends for half an hour. Any other questions? Go on, Vicky. Make it good. Last question.
Thank you so much. I've learned so much, and I'm just trying to take it all in.
You can flatter me afterwards. Come on, what's the question?
No, it's really, really good. The one thing you're saying about Spotify, because I haven't done any of this stuff, so this is all like
no, not anymore.
No, not anymore. No, definitely. But you were saying the difference between Spotify and Apple and the time frame. Is it down to money wise? I'm probably thinking a subscription to Apple.
No.
Why there's such a delayed?
Nobody knows.
Premium.
No, you cannot pay to make it happen any quicker. For some reason, it's called propagation. Spotify, everywhere else seems to do it really, really quickly. They take it from an RSS feed. Apple, I don't know why, protected, copyrights, whatever, who knows, takes a day to 2 days. Sometimes I've seen it in 40 minutes for a subscriber, but if they're not subscribed, then it can take 1 or 2 days. It's mad. So yeah, can't explain it.
I'm not subscribed to Spotify or Apple. I'm kind of, there's part of me that thinks you can listen to music without
freeloader. I like it.
YouTube.
When I say subscribed, I mean you have Apple Podcasts and you subscribe to my podcast, you'll see it in 40 minutes. If you don't subscribe to my podcast, it can take 2 days. So there's no monetization there. So no, it's a weird one. Okay, right. Thank you very much. A quick reminder, these are the freebies that you'll get if you've joined the mailing list. There's loads of content on the course, quick sell, there's visuals, there's loads of instructional graphics, screenshots, there's videos, 30 plus videos of how to do everything, including all the audio editing. And in the email that I send you guys, we'll give you 50% off, which takes it down to 99 quid. It's it's actually about 70 to 80 individual courses. You can skip the ones that you find really easy. Thank you for the sell. So the wait is over. Is our podcast live? This is the bit I've been dreading all day. I was telling Carl early on. Okay, so we'll go to Buzzsprout first of all and refresh. So the most recent episode was Meet the New Marketing 101 team. So it's live on Buzzsprout, but we put it on Buzzsprout, so that's to be expected. Is it live on my website? So there's Meet the Marketing 101 team. Come on. It's live on the website. Is it live on Spotify? This is the biggie. Okay, so meet the team. Oh, it's teasing me. There it is. It is live on Spotify. Thank you. Oh, no, that wasn't for you. The applause go wild. Let's save that. I'm so chuffed. You can now access that podcast and re-listen. You've already heard it once. I don't know why I did this bit really. Greatly appreciate it. That is how you launch go from zero to podcaster in 45 minutes. This is my link tree. It's got everything that you could possibly need to find me and everything about my business, and the QR code for the freebies again. Any questions, just come and grab me now. Thank you very much.